Tech Talk Alert. After our latest digital life hack, you're going to hear one of my weekend show's best calls. You don't want to miss it. You know how we can buy movies and shows on Amazon Prime, Vudu, Apple, YouTube, and other streaming platforms? Turns out, even after you pay for them, you don't really own them. I'm Kim Commando. Enter to win a $500 gift card for trying my free newsletter at winfromkim.com. Sony had to remove over 1,200 movies and TV titles from the PlayStation Store. No refunds, even if you've already purchased them or a way to get them back. The PlayStation Store's licensing agreements with Discovery fell through. So here's a reminder. When you buy movies and shows on streaming platforms like the PlayStation Store, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Apple, or Vudu, you're not purchasing the content. You're only buying the right to watch them, and that right can be taken away, and it's totally out of your control. What can you do? For those movies you really love, consider going old school. Get a DVD player and buy your movies on physical media. It's a more reliable option for the long term. Enter to win that $500 gift card now at winfromkim.com. As promised, I'm now bringing you a standout call from my weekend show. William in Cleveland, Ohio. Hello there, William.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Kim.
You got it. What's going on?
Well, I don't know if you saw my email or not, but I am just basically kind of frustrated with Windows, same as I have been for years. Typical story. It's probably typical to you. I have a laptop, HP laptop running Windows. What's the second latest? 10, I guess. And it just
11,
seems that...
whatever. Yes. Okay.
Whatever. It's not the brand new one, but, you know, my Apple... Here, I still use one in my iPhone. Despite their age, they seem to function and respond quickly. But, you know, with Windows, I'm doing everything that I think I should be. I run disk cleanup, disk defragmenter. I use Viper, antivirus. I keep it up to date. I don't know. I think I'm doing everything that I should be. I run crap cleaner, but by the time I power it on to the time I'm getting to Chrome, my browser, it can be a good 7-8 minutes sometimes. And it's just like...
So frustrating.
Not even counting the spinning blue wheel of death or whatever they call it. It's not even counting that. If it's just the case that the laptop happens to be getting old, I get it. But why over time, what physical attributes change about the computer? To me, it's seemingly nothing. That it's a software thing.
It's a software.
If that's the case with Windows, why shouldn't I just abandon Windows altogether then? It's hard to do, though.
Well, you know, it's a common problem. I mean, they call it Windows for a reason, right? DOZE, right? I mean, and it's a common culprit. And what you said is really fascinating because I, too, have an old Apple MacBook that's probably, I think it might be 9 or 10 years old, and that thing still works. Okay, it may not be fast, but it doesn't take forever for it to boot up like a Windows machine does.
A coworker told me something very similar.
And Windows just, I think it's just crappy code. I think it's just, even though Microsoft says that we started the operating system, I think it's just too many patches upon patches and upon patches and too many calls to this area or that area. And then you've got, you know, incompatibility with maybe certain chips and memory and then different apps and programs. And maybe because it's not a closed ecosystem like Apple, but the Windows machines, they don't seem to be working as well as an Apple machine. And, you know, just as a little fun fact for you, I think this is fascinating. Which operating system do you think has more lines of code? Is it Windows or is it Apple? Which operating system has more lines of code? Now, if you're watching us over at Commando.com inside the Commando community, I want you to go ahead and post your answer right now. Is it Windows or Mac? Okay, I'll give you a second. The answer is Mac. Mac actually has more lines of code, 87 million lines of code versus Windows at 55 million lines of code. So if you've got an old Windows machine, and you mentioned Chrome, William, and if you want to give it new life without just tossing it out or saying, you know, this is time in my life that I'll never get back, 7 or 8 minutes every time I want to start a laptop, is that you don't need to do that, and you don't need to buy a new laptop. If you have an older laptop, Windows laptop, what I want you to do is take a look at Chrome Flex. This is a new operating system from Google that will breathe new life into old laptops. Now, it's not going to have all the bells and whistles of Windows. It's going to be like, a souped up Chrome browser, but that thing's going to start when you want it to start. It's not going to be bogged down with all this stuff that you mentioned, the crap cleaner and the defragger and everything else that you have to do. And we've got links on how to install it. Just make sure you have everything backed up off that Windows machine, obviously, that you might need. And of course, you can always use our sponsor, iDrive, for that. If you use promo code Kim, you get a whole bunch off. I think it's like 90%. But you might want to try this Chrome Flex. It's a new operating system, as I mentioned, from Google. And it's just like a souped up version of the Chrome browser. We've got links on how to set it up and how to use it over at Komando.com. And trust me, your frustrations are heard nationwide. Everybody who just heard your call, William, were like, yeah, that's what it takes with Windows. Thanks a ton for listening. Now, if you have questions, comments, or just a digital dilemma, find your way to Komando.com and hit that email Kim link. I treat each email like it's a VIP guest at a tech expo. Now, you can turn tech chaos into clarity. How? Well, get my free daily newsletter over at getkim.com.